Imagine living in a place so safe. You could drop your wallet, walk away, come back 3 hours later, and it's still sitting there, untouched, maybe even cleaner. Sounds fake, right? Well, somewhere in America, that place actually exists, and we're counting down the cities where you can finally stop sleeping with one eye open. The twist here is that the safest city in the US isn't the one you're thinking of, not even close. In fact, a few quiet underdog towns are beating out the big-name metros everyone assumes are secure. And before you guess, no, it's not the city with the giant shiny bean, the endless subway lines, or the one famous for pineapple pizza. You know the one. We dug through the data, crunched the numbers, and uncovered some wildly unexpected winners. And trust me, by the time we reach number 1, you might start questioning everything you thought you knew about safe cities, maybe even your zip code. So grab a snack, silence your notifications, and settle in, because this list is going to surprise you in the best possible way. And hey, before we dive in, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss the next shocker. Let's get into it. 10. Salem, Oregon. Kicking off our list at number 10 is Salem, Oregon. Yes, that's Salem, the one everyone jokes about, but nobody really understands. And here's where it gets interesting. According to Wallet Hub, Salem has the fewest police officers per capita of any city studied. Yet crime is still impressively low. Let that sink in for a moment. A city with minimal police presence that still manages to keep the peace? Either the residents are incredibly well behaved, or the ghosts from the witch trials era are doing some light neighborhood watch. But the surprises don't stop there. Salem also ranks among the lowest in natural disaster risk nationwide, 13th lowest to be exact, meaning Mother Nature tends to behave herself here. Financial safety sits somewhere in the middle at 31. Not amazing, not alarming, just comfortably sensible. Put all of that together, and you get a city that quietly slides into the top 10 safest places in America without fanfare, drama, or magical spell work. What makes it so compelling is the irony that it has been a town forever associated with chaos, and now celebrated for calm. In the modern Salem, your biggest safety concern might be jaywalking or crossing paths with an overconfident squirrel. It's orderly, it's peaceful, and it's far safer than its cinematic reputation suggests. 9. Lewiston, Maine. Coming in at 9 is Lewiston, Maine, a city that's so quietly safe it almost feels like it's hiding a secret. According to recent data, Lewiston has the 4th lowest natural disaster risk of any city in the survey. No floods lurking around the corner, no surprise wildfires, no earthquakes plotting revenge. Just calm, predictable weather doing what weather should do: behave. But Lewiston doesn't stop there. It also ranks 2nd highest nationwide in financial security, meaning residents aren't constantly teetering on the edge of bankruptcy or scrambling for stability. It's the kind of place where people pay their bills on time, keep their homes, and somehow still have enough left over to live comfortably. Can you imagine that? Its home and community safety lands at a respectable number 63, which isn't jaw-dropping, but for a city its size, it means violent and property crime stay reasonably low. Nothing dramatic, nothing chaotic, just a town minding its business. Put all those ingredients together: calm weather, strong wallets, and a population that seems collectively unbothered, and Lewiston quietly, confidently slips into the top 10. Honestly, with stats like these, Lewiston's only real offense is how unexpectedly safe it turns out to be. 8. Columbia, Maryland. Sliding into the 8th spot is Columbia, Maryland, a city so calm, so meticulously put together, it sometimes feels less like a town and more like a social experiment that actually worked. Wallet Hub ranks it as having the second best home and community safety score out of all 182 cities surveyed. And here's the plot twist. Only one city in America has fewer violent or property crimes per person. Columbia practically hums along on a crime rate so low, it feels like it should come with a "yes, this is real" disclaimer. And while its natural disaster risk sits respectably at 11, and its financial safety cozies up at 51, those numbers aren't what push Columbia into the top tier. It's the crime stats, or the lack thereof, doing all the heavy lifting. This is the kind of place where a centuries-old pirate map wouldn't lead you to danger or treasure. Just a politely issued parking ticket. What makes Columbia fascinating is the balance. No theatrics, no drama, just an almost suspicious level of order. It's well-run, well-watched, and borderline peaceful. The only real threat? It's still outside Google's self-driving car zone, so you'll have to navigate using your own brain. Terrifying, I know. 7. South Burlington, Vermont. Landing confidently at 7 is South Burlington, Vermont, a tiny city with big, we've got our life together energy. With a population barely brushing 19,000, you'd expect small-town simplicity. But here's the twist. South Burlington absolutely dominates the financial category. It ties for the lowest unemployment rate in the entire country and boasts the smallest share of uninsured residents. Basically, everyone has a job, everyone has health coverage, and nobody is spiraling. A rare trifecta in modern America. Stack those factors with very low crime, and you end up with a top 3 financial safety rank. And the plot thickens. Its home and community safety sits at a solid 46, while its natural disaster risk ranks an impressive 6. Jobs are stable, storms are gentle, and emergency rooms aren't flooded with surprise bills. What makes South Burlington so intriguing is the vibe with classic Vermont charm. Mountains, craft beer, and traffic light schedules that seem more like suggestions. The whole city feels unbothered. Even the squirrels look like they're on a wellness plan. In a world that loves chaos, South Burlington quietly thrives in calm. 6. Casper, Wyoming. Sliding into the 6th spot is Casper, Wyoming, a city whose name might remind you of a certain friendly ghost, which honestly fits the vibe a little too well. Casper is one of those places where something spooky usually just means a tumbleweed rolling dramatically across the road. According to Wallet Hub, Casper ranks 5th lowest in natural disaster risk out of all 182 cities studied, and that makes perfect sense. Wyoming isn't exactly in the hurricane or flood business, and even tornado season tends to look the other way. But the real magic here is financial stability. Casper sits comfortably in the top 10 nationwide for financial safety, coming 7th overall, meaning people have jobs, poverty is low, and you don't see the kind of economic desperation that fuels crime in other cities. That, combined with an average but respectable home and community safety rank of 51, creates a city that feels grounded, steady, and calmer than its rugged, Wild West image might suggest. The funniest part? Casper isn't safe because it's heavily fortified or hyper-policed. It's safe because life here just works. The weather isn't out to ruin your day, your paycheck isn't disappearing into thin air, and the biggest hazard you'll encounter might be a confused bison wandering too close to your car. In other words, Casper is the kind of quiet safe that sneaks up on you. 5. Yonkers, New York. Cracking the top 5 at number 5 is Yonkers, New York, the city that somehow manages to sit next to the chaos of New York City without inheriting any of its crime-related drama. Think of Yonkers as NYC's calmer, more responsible older cousin, close enough to feel the buzz, far enough to dodge the nonsense. According to research, Yonkers pulls off an impressive feat by ranking third best in the entire country for home and community safety. Extremely low rates of murder, assault, and the kind of property crime you'd expect in a dense urban setting. Its natural disaster risk sits comfortably in the middle at 29. Nothing extreme, nothing worrisome. The only real dip in its profile is financial safety at 118, which isn't ideal. But Yonkers manages to climb the rankings anyway because its crime numbers are just that good. You're simply less likely to get robbed, attacked, or even mildly bothered here compared to many cities around it. And, let's be honest, the irony is delicious. Just north of the Bronx, where the energy is loud, fast, and sometimes unpredictable, Yonkers seems unbothered, orderly, and safer than anyone expects. Maybe the rowdy Yankees fans lose steam before reaching the border, or maybe Yonkers residents have mastered the art of minding their business. Whatever the secret is, it works. 4. Juneau, Alaska. Sliding confidently into the 4th spot is Juneau, Alaska, a city that seems to have quietly mastered the art of staying out of trouble. Last year it sat at 16, but in 2025 it vaults into the top tier, thanks largely to one major superpower. It has the lowest natural disaster risk of all 182 cities studied. That's right, in a world full of hurricanes, tornadoes, wildfires, and earthquakes, Juneau is just chilling, literally. Up here, your biggest environmental threat is slipping on fresh snow while admiring a glacier. Its home and community safety sits at a respectable 86, and financial safety lands at 57. Nothing extraordinary, but nothing troubling either. What is extraordinary is how insulated Juneau is from disaster chaos. No tornado seasons, no hurricane evacuations, no yearly floods are taking over the evening news. While the rest of the country is stocking storm kits, Juneau residents are more likely debating the best way to avoid eye contact with a curious black bear. It's a place where peace looks a little different. Breathtaking mountains in every direction, sunsets that last forever, and summer daylight so long it feels like time forgot to clock out. If you can handle the cold and a sunrise that happens before your alarm, Juneau delivers safety with an Alaskan glow in a calm, steady, and beautifully remote setting. 3. Burlington, Vermont. Landing confidently at 3 is Burlington, Vermont, a city that somehow manages to feel like a postcard come to life, while also being one of the safest places in the entire country. Wallet Hub's data paints a pretty comforting picture. Burlington has an impressively low risk for multiple natural disasters. We're talking 14th lowest flood risk, 21st lowest tornado risk, and 31st lowest wildfire risk nationwide. In other words, Mother Nature takes it pretty easy on Burlington. No twisters ripping through backyards, no raging wildfires threatening mountainsides, and no grab the sandbags. Flood scares. And then there's the crime factor, or rather, the lack of it. Burlington posts very strong numbers across the board, from having the 26th lowest murder rate to reporting remarkably few rapes per capita. Even digital villains stay away. Fraud and identity theft complaints barely register here. It's the kind of place where the most suspicious activity might be someone returning your lost wallet with a note apologizing for the inconvenience. Put it all together, and Burlington embodies that classic Vermont charm. Bike lanes everywhere, friendly neighbors who genuinely ask how your day is, and a pace of life so calm that speeding feels socially unacceptable. Even jaywalking carries its own silent guilt trip. If safety had a personality, Burlington would be it. Warm, predictable, and wonderfully low drama. 2. Overland Park, Kansas. Sliding confidently into the 2nd spot is Overland Park, Kansas, a city that feels like it was engineered in a lab to keep people safe, calm, and surprisingly content. One of its biggest bragging rights? The roads. Wallet Hub notes, Overland Park has the 5th lowest pedestrian fatality rate and the 15th lowest overall traffic fatalities in the entire country. This is a place where even jaywalkers stroll with the unbothered confidence of park squirrels who know no predator will dare approach. But the real magic happens in the financial department. Overland Park has the lowest poverty rate of any city in the study, plus a high median credit score, a combo that makes life feel stable, predictable, and refreshingly drama-free. When people aren't battling debt or scrambling to pay bills, guess what? Crime goes down, neighborhoods stay chill, and porch lights are just porch lights, not security system billboards. And it doesn't stop there. The city also ranks 4th best nationwide for retirement plan access, suggesting residents aren't just living comfortably, they're planning ahead comfortably. It's like an entire population collectively decided, yeah, let's just make wise choices. Add it all together, and you get a city where walking around, driving around, and simply existing feel effortlessly safe. Overland Park isn't just secure, it's confidently, quietly thriving. 1. Warwick, Rhode Island. Claiming the crown at 1, and yes, the safest city in America, is none other than Warwick, Rhode Island. Not exactly the city most people brag about on vacation, yet here it is, quietly out-muscling every flashy metropolis in the Wallet Hub lineup. And the stats? They're almost showing off. Warwick has the 3rd lowest aggravated assault rate in the entire study and the 7th lowest theft rate, which means both violent and property crimes are basically on an involuntary sabbatical. If someone steals your sandwich here, it's probably a seagull. But the city's safety resume doesn't stop at crime. Warwick also posts remarkably low natural disaster risks, including the 10th lowest wildfire danger in the country. Add to that its financial profile. Warwick has one of the lowest poverty rates and one of the smallest shares of uninsured residents nationwide. People here are healthy, stable, and not living on the economic edge. That alone keeps stress and crime impressively low. The irony is delicious. A city with cozy-sounding neighborhoods like Centerville, Gaspee Point, and Oakland Beach somehow outperforms giant metros famous for skyscrapers and chaos. Warwick doesn't shout, it doesn't sparkle, it simply wins. If safety had a hometown, it would probably have a Warwick zip code. And there it is, the real map of safety in America for 2025. Not the cities you see on postcards, not the places with skyline merch or celebrity sightings, but the quiet achievers, the mid-sized gems, the small but mighty towns, the communities that somehow cracked the code on crime, calamity, and chaos. We dug through everything: violent crime, natural disaster odds, economic stability, even fraud rates, and the cities on this list didn't just survive the test, they aced it. So before you write off city living as a full-contact sport, remember there are pockets of peace out there. If Warwick, Burlington, or Overland Park didn't make you rethink your zip code loyalty, then at least you've got bragging rights. Hey, did you know my future hometown is statistically safer than yours? Trust us, it lands every time. But here's the thing, this list is just chapter 1. If you want more breakdowns, more rankings, more surprising deep dives into the places you thought you knew, hit that subscribe button. Stick around, because the next list might just expose your next home, your next adventure, or the city you should absolutely avoid. Your future self will thank you.